Hey, what's up? I am Shelby. I really love videos where I can deep dive into like specific topics. So in this video, I'm deep diving into the 80-20 principle because it's something I'm really excited about, really interested in, and I feel like anyone who has a bit of an analytical side that wants to improve, simplify, just make their life better in general would appreciate it. All right, let's go. I'm pumped. First of all, what is the 80-20 rule? So the 80-20 rule, essentially 20% of the activities and things that you do in your life bring 80% of your happiness. 20% of the things that you buy bring 80% of the convenience or happiness or ease in your life. The ratio of 80-20, it really just sounds nice. It's not always that specific. It could be a 70-30 split. It could even be a 99-1 split. Like 99% of your results come from 1% of your efforts. So the 80-20 rule is essentially about working out the 20% of your life that's the most productive, the happiest, the most energetic, and then doing more of that. It's also about figuring out the like crappy 80%, then avoiding or reducing that 80%. So now for the fun stuff, this is how you can actually use the 80-20 principle in your life. Firstly, you can 80-20 your relationships. Have a good close look at all of the relationships in your life. Your partner is probably the most important person to look at, and next, your close friends that you spend the most time with. Have you chosen the right people? Which people are in the 20% that bring you the most happiness and the most joy of all the people that you know? Who isn't doing anything for you, is making your life actually worse, and sits in that 80%. The second thing that you can look at is your productivity. So maybe you're working on building a blog. I have used this example before, but it's just such a good one. There are so many things that you could do to be building your blog, to be growing your audience. You could be working on it 24/7 by rights. Or you could go ahead, pick the top 2 things that are the most effective at growing your blog, and you could stick to doing those consistently and well. James Clear, who is a huge blogger, I'll link his blog in the description. He ditched almost all other promotion efforts and focused solely on getting big sites like Lifehacker to repost his content and then link back to his site. He could have promoted all of his stuff over Facebook, tried really, crazy Pinterest images, made YouTube videos to accompany his blog. But rather than focusing on doing everything, he honed his efforts in on the 20% that brought him the best results and did that consistently and well. The third thing that you can 80-20 is your happiness. So have a look at your life, have a think about when you are at your peak of happiness. When do you feel the most joy? When are you the most at peace with yourself? Figure out the 20% of activities and things that you do that bring you the most happiness. Another thing that you can apply the 80-20 rule to is your money and your spending habits. Basically, to 80-20 your money, it's looking at where your money goes currently. Figure out what purchases in amongst all of those have had the biggest contribution, that you've used the most, that have made you the happiest. And figure out what purchases have done the opposite. Then start to focus on those 20% of purchases that make you a better person, and buy items that actually fill your happiness buckets, don't take away from them. The next thing that you can 80-20 that I have 80-20'd without really knowing it is my possessions. You probably wear 20% of your clothes 80% of the time. Probably wear 20% of your shoes 80% of the time. You probably wear 20% of your accessories 80% of the time. Work out what the 20% is. What is the stuff that you always go back to, that you love, that spark joy? And figure out how you can 80-20 your possessions. So you could follow my Simplify Your Life challenge, link in the description. The next thing that you can apply the 80-20 principle to is reading books. A lot of the time, 20% of a book's contents provides 80% of the value, the core important messages. If you're someone that follows my channel, there's probably a whole bunch of books that you want to read. Is there a way that you can 80-20 your reading so that you can read them and digest them faster? And lastly, your distractions. What are the 20% of distractions that cause 80% of your disrupted time? How can you eliminate, avoid, or decrease them? Maybe Facebook is the biggest time sucker in your life, or maybe it's Instagram. Could you turn your phone off? Can you set up a social media blocker? How can you 80-20 your distractions? So when it comes to the 80-20 rule, I think that if you applied it in absolutely every area of your life, you could pretty easily make yourself unhappier. For example, if I wanted to read a fiction book using the 80-20 rule, I could by rights, but I really wouldn't enjoy that at all. I love reading fiction books and I like reading them slowly and fully. But if you choose the areas that you want to apply the 80-20 rule to with thought and with intention, 110% it could be life-changing. I'll leave a link to the 80-20 book by Richard Koch in the description below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you think that the 80-20 rule is a viable thing that you could apply to your life? If you haven't already, subscribe to my channel, follow me on Instagram, all the things, all the links in the description down below. I appreciate you guys so much, and I will see you soon.